There's a belief in the world that energy is scarce everywhere and all energy is created equally. So like you think about, moving energy around is the easiest way to move something would be like coal, right? Put it on a truck, put it on a train, move it around. Next is, oil, put it in a pipeline. Next would be kind of natural gas and, pipelines as well. So the hardest one is electricity, right? Because the network of electricity, it's not like you can have an excess amount of wind and some electricity in one area and say, hey, Europe, you need some electricity, we're just going to ship it, right? It's in an area that's constrained by the wires in that area and the investment that was made in kind of, customers having a rate base that you're paying for these wires. So like back to kind of like energy is very complex. It's like there can be real pockets of excess electricity, right? Without having the ability to move a load to that area, the only option is building out transmission lines, right? And so there are cases like in West Texas where 10% of the hours last year were negative, which means that the grid operator is sending a price signal that's so low that you should turn down, right? And so that means that energy is being curtailed, right? And so that's not going anywhere. You can't ship that anywhere else. And without some type of load that's co-locating right next to it, you really are going to be like spilling wind, right? You're just going to say, we can't do it. So it's just kind of an important point that, and most don't understand, is that you can have energy abundance in certain areas and not in others. And I think about kind of the idea that I'm from Alberta and, back in the 80s that, people would go buy land for like the mineral rights that were underneath them. And all you had to think was, is oil going to be valuable in the future? Because if it is, I got long oil just from buying some land, right? Yeah. And, I think about this in kind of, in the renewable space right now is that, there's been these massive deposits of wind and solar in certain areas, given the certain kind of the geography, the weather and whatnot, that you couldn't tap into before because there was no power lines there. You couldn't monetize it, right? And so for the first time in history now, you can actually bring a load to this deposit of sunshine and wind that couldn't get tapped into before because you couldn't pull it out of there. So that's a neat concept is that Bitcoin's really unlocking.